Hello, everybody. I'm back, Dr. K.K. Agarwal, President Heartcare Foundation of India. And you are watching Med Talks with Dr. K.K. Agarwal, 51st episode. Episode to create awareness and taking out the myths regarding any pandemic. Let's go to the headlines of the day. AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine study paused after one mysterious illness. Phase 3 trial, one patient got a mysterious illness, admitted. The vaccine trial has been halted. The share price of AstraZeneca in US drops by 8%. After 5 months, the schools allowed but not mandatory for senior students. That means the permission of the parents must be a must. That means there is some degree of opening of the school. Both offline and online education will continue. The Russian government has approached India and they have reaches out to firms to make the Russian Sputnik 5 vaccine in India. What will happen? The time will tell us, because first of all, they will have to go to a large scale manufacturing and the phase 3 trials. As per ICMR, the plasma therapy has not helped in reducing the COVID-19 deaths. Maybe plasma therapy is used much later than should be used, and it is used often in serious patients where multiple treatments already are available. Let's go to the topic of the day. Non-pharmacological treatment, vaccine treatment, and pharmacological treatment. Which one will lead? Which one is better in eradicating or taking care of COVID-19? As on today, we don't know. But at least debate is going on about a vaccine. We know there are 3 non-pharmacological vaccines. That's mask, that's physical distancing, and that's hand hygiene. Are they better than the man-made vaccines? That's going to be the subject of the day. And I have with me Dr. Neelam Mohan. She's a director, pediatric gastroenterology and hepatology at Medanta, the MedCity, a BC Roy National Award recipient, and the first one to start therapeutic endoscopy in newborns in India and whatnot. She is a popular pediatric gastroenterologist in India and many other countries. So welcome to our show, Neelam ji. And
thank you.
Namaskar.
It's
So
nice
when we
to
talk
meet
about,
you.
thank you. So this is our regular 7 p.m. show going live on digital media. And 51st episode, 51 रुपए का शगन होता है. आज वो 51 रुपए का शगन आपके पास जाता है. 51st is what you are producing. So let's first come back and understand what the vaccines are. We know there are different types of vaccines. We have killed vaccine, we have live attenuated vaccine, we have sub-vaccines. How do we decide clinically in a pediatric age which vaccines to choose? Are we dependent on the pharmaceuticals to produce them, or we have some clinical criteria?
Right. Now, actually, as you rightly said, where we have different type of vaccine, it depends upon the antibody level that we are able to produce in there. So normally till now, when we ever
Register.
talked about vaccine, it used to
Register.
take nothing less than 10 years. It would be 12 plus years for a vaccine to be made, First it goes to the phase 1 trial, then the phase 2 trial, then the phase 3 trial. And after the phase 3 trial, then goes the regulatory authority who looks into it, which takes another 1 year for the regulatory authority. And then after that, the patient gets, the things get into it. So it's always been more than 10 years. But this is the first time in the history of mankind that we all know, at least the generation who's living, and we haven't seen in the past too, This is the worst ever pandemic ever the world has seen. And therefore, the first time in the history that we are trying to make this vaccine process, which used to tell 10 to 12 years, now we are trying to make it as, 12 months. How was that possible? You thought the reasons why that could have been possible is a lot of other things. For example, the genomics now got cheaper. There are good set of labs that have been set up, and the people, the money that was poured in this vaccine has been the most ever poured in any vaccine ever in the world. So there have been a lot of, and as I said, there are a lot of companies, pharmaceutical, who already have their, they are doing a test on the animal models, and they also have factories where they can start up and increase their production. So these have been the 5, 6 factors that you saw, that for the first time, this phase 1, 2, and 3 was not going one after the another. They were going quite simultaneously. As you rightly just now said about that Sputnik V vaccine in your thing. Now, what had happened about Sputnik V vaccine is, while they were in the phase 3 trials, the production started. So normally it would not start. You would need to go. So this is what people have been sort of not really jumping, but they've been going simultaneously through these trials, where phase 2 came back, phase 3, and then regulatory authority, instead of taking 1 year, they started looking into the regulation while the vaccine was in phase 3 trial. जैसे इंडिया में भी हुआ था, जो हमारी ICMR की वैक्सीन है, once it entered the phase 3 trial, you yourself is in news, and that day more than the 330 number of people in the AIMS when it was started. So we also and some of these people started producing that in case it gets accepted. The Serum Institute wanted to be ready with the number of vaccines that are produced. So that's how it could come.
So
but
as a medical profession, I am not against if you simultaneously want to produce, because you are taking a calculated financial risk. That's something different, because as a doctor, I have nothing to do if you are producing something which may fail. And if you are ready to take a financial risk, that's your risk. Because most of the vaccines today are co-producing the vaccine before they start a phase 3. That's okay. Like for example, कल Oxford का vaccine अगर ये fail हो जाता है, so they will lose billions of dollars. And if they are ready to take a risk, who stops them from taking a risk? So I'm not going into that. See, the earliest vaccine till today has come is a Merck vaccine, which has come in 4 years, and that was for whatever vaccine it was. That was a mumps vaccine. Merck company brought it in 4 years, and they brought it in 5.5 years was Ebola vaccine. That means it has taken in the past minimum 4 years to produce a vaccine, and they are trying to produce it in 1 year. Russia has done it. Now, I would consider Russia as also a different game. They are now in a phase 3 because they have made it available. They gave it to all their military people. So instead of 1%, they involved 100% people of military in phase 3. I will take it like that. So I will take it like that they introduce it as a phase 3 in all the people of the military, but not the whole world. But because now they started it commercially, yes, it's a matter of.
They've also asked India to join there. They've asked India also to do that first.
No. They see in India is nobody to do anything. It's a DCGI. There are laws. Even if nobody can order in India without a DCGI, DCGI will ask them to do a trial. Okay, so some company has to be ready. Government can't do it. Government तो कर नहीं सकती. पहले कोई कंपनी रेडी होगी, फिर कंपनी स्टेज 3 ट्रायल के लिए अप्लाई करेगी, ट्रायल होगा, उसके बाद में DCGI अप्रूव करेगी. That's a long process. So the long process is that yes, they can do that if they want to, but with stage 3 trial approval will take another 6 months to 1 year. So I don't think so Russian vaccine India में कल available हो जाएगा उसके साथ में. My concern here is why did मेरा इस वक्त में जो आज जो रेलेवेंट पॉइंट है जो पब्लिक सुनना चाहती है कि क्या हुआ होगा ऑक्सफोर्ड के वैक्सीन को कि उन्हें हॉल्ट करना पड़ा. Can you come back on
that? this information about it, I wouldn't that why what has happened on the AstraZeneca, I wouldn't be aware of it. But yes, I can say it in today's date that a common man's vaccine is the three, which we say, adopt women and stay away from men. That is the common man's vaccine. And you know what I mean by avoid men. Men is, if you can reiterate, that you need to stay away from your mouth, your nose. So avoid men and follow women. So, in that we are talking about mask using elbow and, all these things that we've been talking about. So these are going to be your common man's vaccine as of day to me. That's why I say that in today's date, that it looks like a reality for the vaccine to come, but the way when you talk to your friends and the public, it looks like कि वैक्सीन आई और एक जादू की छड़ी घूम गई और धड़ाम से सब इरेडिकेट हो जाएगा जैसे मूवीज में दिखाते हैं. So that is what I want to convey will not happen. This, if you think even the vaccine comes, the are so many issues. When will the vaccine come? Even if you think that people are the USA has announced, Anthony, who's been the advisor to the White House, he has said that we are expecting a vaccine in USA in November. And Sputnik V vaccine, which was last week in the news, they said that they've been already giving it for 40,000, and they requested other countries, including India, they were requesting to start for the trial. So, yes, it has been one of the first time that since this first disease was seen in December in China and January 15th in USA and Jan 25th in India, from then onwards, yes, we are not even 10 months away. And if USA is talking about it November, we need to give the credit to two people. The scientists, like you rightly spoke, you said कि मुझे क्या करना है कि वो नुकसान हुआ पैसे का. So you have a scientist like a doctor mind who knows कि मेरे को phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 और regulatory stage पे जाना है. और जो super forecasters होते हैं उनको कितनी एंटीबॉडी चाहिए, क्या प्रॉब्लम है, हुआ क्यों नहीं वैक्सीन हुई. These are the not the super forecasters. Super forecasters want to know कि इकोनॉमी की क्या, how much can economy do, how much is politics involved. So this is the first vaccine where the economy as well as the politicians as well as the scientists sort of came together, and therefore yes, I am very hopeful that this is going to be history, that the vaccine will be produced in a year. So that I'm very confident about. But the million-dollar question which I'm not confident about is, will the vaccine eradicate the corona? That I'm not sure, because you don't know what the antibody level you're going to do. You do not know what the antibody protection is going to be. Is it going to be like a rotavirus 50-60% protection? What are the side effects? What is the protection? And will the other questions is कि ये कोरोना अगर म्यूटेट कर गया, because you also know कि इंडोनेशिया से केसेस आए हैं, मलेशिया से केसेस आए हैं म्यूटेशन. तो अगर ये म्यूटेशन करा तो अभी जो प्रेजेंट म्यूटेशन है did not come in the genome part which was involved in the vaccine, so they did not find it a threat. उन्हें डर नहीं लग रहा है. लेकिन कल को क्या ये भी मुद्दा डर हो जाएगा, जैसे फ्लू वैक्सीन आप हर साल लगाते हैं कि वो म्यूटेट करती है, तो क्या होने वाला है, ये कोरोना आपकी जिंदगी से पूरा चले जाएगा, इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. मे बी मुझे नहीं लगता 1 साल तक मैं बिना मास्क के घूम पाऊंगी. हाँ, क्या 2 साल बाद, 1.5-2 साल बाद घूम पाऊंगी? हाँ. क्यों? तब तक एक हर्ड इम्यूनिटी आ जाएगी. हर्ड इम्यूनिटी, आई थिंक इफ यू वांट आई कैन एक्सप्लेन, बिकॉज तब मुझे लग रहा है कि हर्ड इम्यूनिटी प्लस ये वैक्सीन को मिला के हम काम कर पाएंगे. हर्ड इम्यूनिटी वो होती है जैसे हम पोलियो में या जिसमें हम देखते हैं, सपोज 60% of the population gets positive, like then you say कि मेरे से आपको हुआ, आपसे उसको हुआ, तो वो पॉजिटिव एक चेन हो गई और 60% प्रोटेक्टेड एंटीबॉडी हो गई, तो हमारे फीकल एक्सक्रीशन में भी एंड ऑल्सो थ्रू अदर वेज वी कैन गेट इम्यूनिटी एंटीबॉडी नर्स। क्योंकि बट और एक मुद्दा आ रहा है कि अगर मैं एसिम्टोमेटिक थी तो मेरी एंटीबॉडी लेवल भी कम था, अगर मैं माइल्डली सिम्टोमेटिक थी तो वो एंटीबॉडी कम था, तो अगर ये एंटीबॉडी कम था तो मैं कितने टाइम तक प्रोटेक्टेड रहूंगी? So these are so many questions which were not answered. What is the antibody level that you need for protection? All that stuff. So to me, I think it's a hype that you think this is going to be a magic one. But yes, it's a reality we will get. And to get 60% herd immunity, that means हमारी पॉपुलेशन 1.3 बिलियन, मतलब 60 करोड़ लोगों को तब तक हो और एंटीबॉडी हो, you know what I mean. But WHO का बोलना है कि ये एपिडेमिक 2021 तक लास्ट करेगा, end of 2021. That's WHO prediction, not mine, and I think that looks realistic.
I think we are not here to predict anything. Whatever WHO says, we are clear that R value is for reproduction number, and that's 2.6. R0, R0 minus 1 divided by R is the percentage required for a herd immunity threshold. That comes out to be 67%. And that's impossible for India to get it. WHO has said even if the vaccine is 50% effective, we will allow it to be commercially marketed. I think to develop 67% immunity, even with the help of a vaccine, will take a lot of time. Because even if the vaccine is introduced in the country, I don't think so it will be given to everybody within a matter of short time. There will be priorities. The priority will be military, private, will be healthcare workers, other people. So at this moment, vaccine is a big issue. But my question for purpose of starting this discussion was something different. My question was, this vaccine, which is Oxford vaccine, is a vector. It's an adenovirus vaccine, belong to chimpanzee, which is attenuated vaccine, where you have used the spike protein. I'm not even talking about D61G mutation, because that mutation which we are talking about Malaysia and Indonesia is not on the spike protein. It is not on the receptor binding domain. So I'm not bothered about, so therefore I'm not bothered about that. So my concern is, because this is an adenovirus vaccine, the Russian vaccine and the China's vaccine also are adenovirus vaccine. Russia is using two different types of vaccine, adenoviruses, and China is also an adenovirus. Therefore, I'm a little bit concerned is that because this adenovirus recombinant technique has produced a serious illness, which if it turns out to be, if we get one more case, I mean, one case is okay, but if we get one more case, it gets proved that this is a vaccine-induced illness. In 30,000 people, if you get one, imagine how many viral vaccine-induced polio equivalent you will get in this particular disease. The very fact the company's share market has gone by 8%, two, the company has not talked it as a viral illness. Otherwise, they could have said a person developed a corona-like illness. So this is not a corona-like illness. You are producing a hybrid of a virus called adeno and a virus called corona. So it's a hybrid, it's a vector virus.
But that's what you do in the vector-based vaccine are always like that. And
I know.
Is a very commonly used. And attenuated, as you, for the people to know, is attenuated is you take the same organism in small amount, which is sort of, but the attenuated vaccine has a capability, especially in immunocompromised patient, that disease can take a little higher form. So therefore, the other vaccines which have been come into is the killed vaccine and the the DNA vaccines, but they take a longer time. Therefore, there are 4 types that have been used: the attenuated, this, and the protein and the RNA vaccines, and this is one of them. But unless the we get more information from AstraZeneca, it would be too hypothetical.
I know, but we are at the moment talking theoretical. because India, ICMR is producing an inactivated killed vaccine. They are producing an inactivated killed vaccine of an Indian strain. Then we have Moderna, who is coming out with a messenger RNA vaccine. And that messenger RNA, I think they're using the E cell to use into a subunit type of a vaccine. And then we have other companies. Somebody is bringing a pure mRNA. Somebody is bringing a inactivated vaccines, only inactivated corona vaccine. And we have Zydus coming out with a DNA vaccine. So different types of vaccines are. But my concentration here was only on three because they were on the basic lead. That's a Russian vaccine, and that's a Chinese vaccine, and that's an Oxford vaccine, because they were on the top lead. And all three of them had a vector base. They were vector based.
About it, right? They wanted to get into, before they did their phase 3, they were very keen that the Europe market buys their vaccine. And so Canada disowned disconnected the connection with that vaccine, and it was all over. The Cognizant, am I right? That is the name of the vaccine. So the Canada wanted to disconnect it, and the European countries did not agree to.
So in the first part of my discussion, because we will have a second part of the discussion after a short break. My first part is, again, I want to emphasize this because for me, three vaccines which are currently on the top list, all three of them are adenovector-based vaccines, whether it is Russia. So I'm only trying to understand in pediatrics is how many different types of vector-based vaccines have been available, who have been successful. Is it that I only want to understand is which are other adenoviruses-based vaccines which are successful? Because I'm a little bit skeptical after they have halted without giving a disclosure. That means it's a serious side effect which has happened. So therefore, is it adenovirus-based technology? That means other viruses also produce these side effects or not? I know that inactivated vaccines can produce more immunity, but also more side effects because the virus is still alive. The virus is still alive in such cases. A killed vaccine will have less immunity, but less chances of an infection because the virus is killed. You are introducing a killed virus into that. And in subunits, you are only taking about a peak of the virus, or you are taking only the spike or the mRNA or a virus-like particle. So I only want to understand is a adenovirus-based technology safe or not? That was my question, which I don't have the answer. I don't know about that. Therefore, I wanted to ask a pediatrician that when we talk about a vector vaccines, as a vector vaccine, is it a problem of a vector vaccine, or is this a problem only of the Oxford vaccine?
Well, vector vaccines are available. And to be honest to you, there is no vaccine which does not have any side effects or complications. There is zero vaccine that you can say, but you have to understand that the issues affects whether, for example, it could be as little as an erythema, toxic reaction, pain, DPT, interception that was reported with rotavirus. If you recollect, rotavirus was withdrawn because of that. So all vaccines have the issue. There is nothing in this world which comes simple and easy. So you need to understand the pros and cons and then accept it. You need to see what are the benefits over it than that. As you rightly said, this is just one such thing, and you need to see more before you disown and talk about it. Even the GSK had to withdraw the rotavirus, but now the whole world is using rotavirus vaccine, and we showed it that there was no interception significant involved. So I wouldn't remember off my hat about the adenovirus vectors, but I can look into it after the break and get back to you with those names. But yes, they've been used, and if they would not have been used in the past, I'm sure the scientific committee would not have gone through this in a case where you wanted the vaccine to be out within nobody would have been venturing a new technology if it wasn't. It is a known technology, and live attenuated. Lot of our vaccines are most of our vaccines are live attenuated vaccines, as you know, as I said, the polio vaccine and this and that. Most of them are varicella vaccine and all. So we do have those vaccine, and even in typhoid we have the kill and we have attenuated. Hepatitis A we have kill and we have attenuated. So we have both the types of vaccines that we see, but it is only through the long-term studies and the logistic antibody level that we produce, we decide where it is, because some of these some of these vaccines need to be given, especially the killed one, you feel that you need to give a repeat dose. Whereas in the attenuated one, you may not need to give an. So that's sort of a thing. But what are the exact names? I will look into it yet, but this is not a new technology. That much I'm confident.
Okay, so this is a known technology. So let's not give way that this may be a simple co-infection. This may be a coincidence. Only the time will tell us once the more details comes. Let's have a short break, and after the break, we'll talk about actual 3 vaccines available in the country. You are watching Med Talks with Dr. K.K. Agarwal. This is 51st episode. We are talking about now the social engineering. And we are now talking about non-pharmacological treatment of COVID-19, the prevention of COVID-19. So मेरे साथ में है Dr. Neelam Mohan, Dr. B.C. Roy National Awardee, a pediatrician with us. So Neelam ji, when we talk about the social vaccines, we talk about mask, hand hygiene and physical distancing. ये वैक्सीन हमारे को 9 महीने तो इन्होंने बचा दिया. दिसंबर में ये बीमारी आई थी 31 दिसंबर को, आज सितंबर हो गया. And I remember 18 जनवरी को I had the first seminar on COVID-19 in Myanmar and in Malaysia, and we have 7 or 8 countries who participated. तब से लेके आज तक 9 महीने तो हो गए. 9 महीने ने हमारे को ये 3 वैक्सीन जो अवेलेबल है हमारे पास में तो बचाया, तो और 9 महीने भी बचा सकते हैं. यानी कि सावधानी हटी तो दुर्घटना घटी. तो आज की डेट में इट इज पॉसिबल फॉर यू टू प्रिवेंट द डिसीज इफ यू फॉलो दीज 3 प्रिंसिपल्स. थोड़ा सा डिटेल में बताएंगे, स्पेसिफिकली इन पीडियाट्रिक पॉपुलेशन. वी हैव बीन टॉकिंग अ लॉट अबाउट एडल्ट पॉपुलेशन.
I personally feel that this is the true way that you need to protect it. Don't expect that a vaccine is going to make a magic wand and get you out. This is your true friend. Not only a true friend for the rich, definitely people are calling it as a poor man's vaccine, or the people or the low risk people vaccine. But trust me, it is this lifestyle modifications that is going to protect you, because you will not be able to eradicate this COVID-19 infection soon. As per the WHO, it says end of 2021. And so, that is also a wishful thinking with everything that we are keeping in. So in today's date, accept it. And I can see that there have been a lot of, negligence that is being happening in educated people with their socializations and partying and all that stuff. Though mask people are wearing, but when they come to eating and talking, and that's the time when you remove it. But that's the time you're at very high risk, because when you talk, you can take out your spit, which can go farther away. So please do not ignore the vaccines taught by KK. This are your true vaccine, which is your lifestyle modification, which is your mask.
I want to focus on children. WHO says less than 5 years masking is not required. Your comments on that? WHO initially said less than 2 years, now saying less than 5 years. no masking is required. And between 5 to 12 years, you have a shared decision between you, parents, and your doctor. So I want to focus on that, how to protect the children.
Right. Now, yes, generally they say that, especially for smaller children, though they said initially 5, but it depends, people have reduced it to 3, 4 at least. There we don't use it, but because the predominant method of their breathing is through ear, and you do not want to stop that. And it is very easy to keep this children away from, the modalities which we just spoke about. Now, for the older children, the risk is going to be in the school, and therefore, I'm sure KK would like to talk about this. There has been cases, especially in the West, when the schools opened, and there has been a sudden surge in the number of cases in children, and it was in USA and in some European countries, but US I remember vividly. That they showed that when the children went, obviously it increased to more than 10 times in the. But the good thing that we all need to understand is that fortunately for children, you will see the mild or the asymptomatic disease. For me, I had even my liver transplant patients, 3 of them get a COVID-19 infection, but touch wood, they did extremely well and came out of it. And so is the data available from the other countries. Having said that, there have been a condition in children which we say Kawasaki-like, where a serious problem with involvement of multiple systems and joints, etc., was seen, but which responded to steroids. And this was reported a lot from UK and the other European and US countries, and a couple of cases also from India. But having said that, children usually get mild infection and asymptomatic infection, and that's a good thing. And therefore, majority of Indian experts were not happy sending children to school right now, because though they might get less, but in India we live as a family, sometimes with our grandparents quite often live with us, and therefore they will be at a very high risk in giving rise to this. And therefore Indian experts feel that online teaching is a good modality for them. So
Now,
was that
I want to end this session, a half an hour session, because there are two controversies. One controversy is children don't spread the infection to adults. Till now, there is no evidence that children spread the infection to others as on today. Two, they say some studies says that children have a high viral overload and they may be spreading. So that controversy will stay till we get a clear-cut evidence that children are spreading the infection. Our own evidence has been that in the family, whenever we find a child as the first case, invariably we find that he is not the first case. First case is often from the parents. Children causing infection to other children has on today, there has not been a clear-cut depiction by the WHO.
But this even attended was the first one. The school study, if you can go back and look at it, obviously I read it in the net, that was one of the first studies which talked about that the reason why they opened the school was because of this controversy that children may not. But after opening the schools, because of an increase of tenfold in children, this hypothesis was.
I know. Still, WHO maintains that children are unlikely to spread infection to other children. Their focus has to be there. Till now, they have not talked about it. That though there is a debate has started.
Because children are usually asymptomatic and mild. So they say that the viral load that you're going to have and give it to others, that viral load is going to be less. And based on your viral load, and therefore the mask which you and me talked about, which I call a vaccine, is even if you are wearing a mask, the viral load that you would get, that is going to be a less. So you might end up with developing an antibody, but actually be asymptomatic because the mask gave you less viral load and it was an asymptomatic infection giving rise to antibody and protective. So that's another hypothesis of calling it a common man's vaccine.
I think a debate will continue because there are difference of opinions amongst various ministries and the WHO approach. And this debate will continue. If there was an answer to this debate, the schools would have opened by now. The very fact schools are not opening all over the
They
world,
are
it
not
means there is no significant and clear-cut data whether children are spreader or not. But as on today, one thing is very clear, less than 5 years, children are not supposed to wear a mask. More than 12 years, they have to wear a mask as per the adult guidelines. And between 5 and 12, preferably they have to use mask, but it is a shared decision between them, the parents and the teachers. Let me thank Dr. Neelam Mohan to be here with us for a wonderful presentation. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. with another show. Till then, goodbye, namaskar, stay tuned.
Thank you so much for having me.